Hi everyone, welcome back to this episode of The Backstory. Today is quite a special episode as we are graduating from the University of Warwick. We both graduated last week, and where we are right now and what you see around us is our first year accommodation where me and my current flatmate Shayan stayed at. So I'll give it over to him just to introduce himself and then we'll get more into the topic of this podcast.
Hey guys, I'm Shayan Ali. Yes, fortunate enough to be Mustafa's flatmate for a year and also fortunate enough to stay with him for 2/3 of a year here in Sherborne. Economics graduate from the University of Warwick, originally from Pakistan. Yep, that's all about me.
Yeah, so I wanted to speak more about the experiences through uni, obviously affected heavily due to COVID.
Heavily.
But I think we both had different experiences because of that, going home to different countries, and we also spent times at university without each other as well. So, and more specifically when I was here and the others weren't. So let's start with first year. How was first year for you? How were the friends you made? Just tell me a little bit about that.
So obviously coming to university from abroad, from Pakistan, it's a pretty big change in environment. Going from schooling to university, obviously a huge jump in itself. And I was really looking forward to it because obviously I knew before I was coming to university that I'm coming with like my best friends to university, Hamza, Abdullah. And then obviously knowing the fact, because I spoke to Mustafa before we came, and then I was like, no way, this guy is not coming to Warwick from from Switzerland, sorry, and I'm not coming to Warwick from Pakistan after around 15 years of a gap in friendship. So that was obviously insane. It feels like, a foundation is already set for you when you move to university with
100%.
friends. Which is what a lot of friends of mine criticized when I came to university, the ones who went abroad. They were like, oh, how are you going to get out of your own bubble? How are you going to make new friends? It'll only be you four. To a certain extent, which it was.
Yeah, especially
but,
the first few weeks.
But I feel like we still did a good job. Had an extremely good first year, at least 2/3 of it if I break it down. COVID came around March in the UK. So we did the first term and the second term really well. Had a pretty good time and enjoyed ourselves quite a bit. Obviously, work, this, that, everything went on, and then we went home.
So, I think it was interesting in first year because if you ask me, I didn't have any friends coming into university like from my school, or I did, but not like the close friends that I thought that I would be with. And so when I met you guys, I was like, this may not actually develop into a friendship. So it was like, let's see how it is, and I found that it was very organic and everything. So that's quite interesting when you talk about your first year experience, because for me it was quite different, that coming from a school where there weren't, as I said, for you they were your closest friends, but for me there weren't any of those at this uni. And so when we met in first year, I was, a bit reluctant or not nervous, and I was like, I don't know if we would actually carry that friendship through. But I think literally from the first day onwards, or the first night onwards, I literally felt that I was a part of the group. And from then onwards, I think all the friends we did make is through each other, and we sort of had that base to go back to anytime we needed anything. So I think that was really nice to have in first year, especially for me, because I know you spoke about how your friends thought it wouldn't be good for you, but for me in a way it was new friends, because even though we were friends when we were kids, it wasn't like, not the same at all. So let's get more into how that changed, or not how the base changed, but how it was going into second year. How did you find that period for you?
So I just want to take you back, having a 15 years gap between our friendship, I don't blame you for being like, oh, maybe this would work out, maybe it would not. But the way it did, it worked out beautifully. Second year was actually just a bad memory in my opinion. Not in the sense that I had an extreme bad experience, but in terms of university, it was more like a blur. And I'm pretty sure you would agree.
For sure.
Especially for you did come back in term 3, but I literally only had the first term at uni. So in that sense, I wouldn't say it was a great experience per se. But literally locked up at home for that first year. Got COVID, all 8 of us, or 7, whoever was there. So that is basically the highlight of my second year. And then going back home. So if I speak about going back home, I personally really enjoyed it because it felt like me that it's school all over again, because everyone was back home from around the world, the US, Canada, wherever they went from university, they'd come back to Pakistan for because of the pandemic. And we just had like our own little party there. Obviously careful for COVID a little bit, but whenever we could, we'd go out, play volleyball, do things that we enjoy to do, meet up. So I really enjoyed that. I'm glad that it was part of my university experience, because it's also hard being away from home. Every time I'd leave, I would really miss my mom, my dad, my sister, my family as a whole. But being there with them for a majority of chunk of my uni, it did make me feel better to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it was unexpected as well, right? You didn't expect to. I think Abdullah said on his podcast that all of you guys were there, like the people from different unis.
100%.
So you didn't ever think that would happen for the foreseeable future.
I mean, nobody's going to expect a pandemic, especially like that. It's really a once in a lifetime kind of thing, I hope.
Hopefully.
But, I mean, yeah, it was actually good for me in that sense. Whenever COVID got bad, obviously we'd lock up, we'd stay at home. But when it wasn't, it was literally like we were living our best life per se, because we'd meet up with each other, do what we wanted to do.
Yeah. And
literally friends that I didn't think I would meet for years.
Yeah,
the ones who went to the US, I met them in a matter of months. And for me, that was like amazing.
Yeah.
So
let's get more into second year. So how was that for you? And obviously all of it, as you spoke about, getting COVID in the first and like not being able to come back for second and third term, and then transitioning into third year where pretty much everything was normal, How was that transition? Did you feel that you're maybe disconnected from uni life or the people, because you still had to do the work study-wise, So how was that transition for you?
So obviously giving online exams, firstly, weird experience.
Yeah.
The way it was done, how I did it, who I did it with, it was just an overall weird experience, but once again, a learning experience. And then coming back to third year, in all honesty, I was excited. I had kept in touch with most of the people that I had met in first year, made good friends group with them. Obviously, I had the core four to go back to, which is Mustafa, Hamza, Abdullah, me. And knowing that, like, I wasn't afraid. I knew that whatever happens, it would be good. Yeah. And obviously, who doesn't look forward to their last year of uni? Like, and then especially after a gap of a year, it's something everyone would look forward to. So
So let's speak more about third year and, living together. It was something that we had to make the decision quite quickly. It wasn't planned for a long time, and obviously we weren't that close before that we knew exactly how each of us lived and maybe what our living habits were. But like, how was living together, and also how was third year at the start of it as well for you?
Third year, man, what a vibe. So obviously, we went into it. We were a flat of 8, and then we decided to split that flat up into 2, 2, 4.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely grateful for the decision I made back in November. In the sense of, firstly, the location we got in our home. Regent Street, lovely place. Regent Court, sorry, lovely place to stay in Leamington Spa. And obviously had insane memories there, not just with you. I feel like with everyone, we have insane memories we had there. The World Cup, some parties, everything was insane. So yeah, it was a very good decision we made right back at the start a year ago. So yeah.
I wanted to get more into how that, any difficulties you found through the 3 years, and what advice you would give to people coming into uni. Anything to do with, friendships, maybe feeling homesick, because it's very normal to feel that. I think we've all felt that at some point in the 3 years. But more specifically, what did you feel? And is there any experiences, or is there anything you can share with us regarding that?
So when it comes to university, and especially like, I mean, I don't want to brag, but like my course, economics, not saying it's tough, but it's a tough environment to be in with regards to like, as soon as you step in spring week. Coming from Pakistan, I had no idea what spring weeks were. Okay, everyone's like, oh, did you apply for this spring week internship? This. Now that is one difficulty that you feel. It's a certain bit of pressure that gets added on that, oh shit, the job search is starting.
Yeah.
So, and that job search literally went on to third year. Like, third year was a real grind for literally everyone, almost everyone that I know.
Yeah, for sure.
To the point where we'd be up late doing apps, writing cover letters. Now, that's all I want to say about that. But then if I move on to any other, I particularly did not have many difficulties making friends group, because obviously, once again, there was a certain bit of dependence, which I do regret to a certain extent that I wasn't really able to outreach, expand upon. But the friends that I did make myself, shout out to Ayush, I feel like they are friends that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. there's undoubtedly like one of the best friends I've made at uni.
Yeah.
And some insane memories that I have with him as well. And then the best part about being part of a group, as you said in the start, that we kind of like, our friends group just branched out from whoever knows whoever. So I was really lucky to, for example, meet Maya Gani through you, to meet Abdullah Raj, Jack through Abdullah, and just to know Hamza. Just to know Hamza as the guy that he is. But so yeah, so about the friends group, no real bad experiences.
So you spoke a little bit about, you know, the things that you enjoyed and also that you didn't at uni. But let's get more into what you found difficult or challenging. And yeah, just tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so firstly, as I said, I did an econ degree. And a lot of what I found challenging was actually rooted in my degree, because I would say I was a pretty good economics student in O and A levels, but then obviously, yeah, fine, the jump from school to university is big. But it was that I found the system to be a bit restricting to what I could study. In the sense that, yeah, I could do a couple of finance modules, this, that, but then whenever I'd speak to my friends abroad in the US, they would be doing, for example, like astrology, geology. Who wouldn't want to study that kind of stuff also?
Yeah.
Like that in itself is also like versatile learning in a sense.
For sure.
And I personally would love to do that, but what I did was like purely econ related, a couple of finance modules, a couple of business modules.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I wasn't really able to diversify what I learned.
Yeah.
Even though what I learned, no doubt, it will help me economics, like very based into economics, stuff that will help me further on in my life. But it's just that some things I wanted to learn for, like, you know, enjoyment, for pleasure.
Of course, yeah.
And there was nothing that the university per se could provide to me unless I joined a society.
Got it.
But then again, you know, you have to pay for a society to get into a society, and like, I don't want to make that kind of commitment to any society. So this is one thing that, like, you know, I learned from, especially from my friends in the US, because I really looked into what they would study and what I would study. But yeah, so that was one thing.
I mean, let's get more into that then. Like, you spoke about the US comparison. How has that been when you compare it? You know how you have quite a few friends studying there, and quite a few friends in the UK, so it's quite a large sample size that you have to compare from. But what do you feel like the, you know, differences are? Do you think the UK system has any advantages compared to them?
100%. So obviously, I personally like being done in 3 years.
Yeah.
You're into the job market early. It opens up opportunities for you in that sense. Another advantage is in that the US, from what I've heard from a lot of people, is that you feel isolated. Huge country, obviously. Universities all across the country. You get East Coast, West Coast, because my friends are like spread across everywhere. And then whenever we go to like London, like every other weekend, they're like, oh my God, you guys are so lucky, man. Like, you guys can meet up whenever you want. This is something they miss out on, because they get, like, for example, spring break, they meet up. Easter break, they meet up. Thanksgiving, they meet up, but that's probably it.
Nothing else.
Yeah, so that is one huge advantage, that we really don't feel that isolated. And we always get the opportunity to meet each other because of how small and how accessible, I would say, everything in the UK is. So 100%. That is one really big advantage. But then academically, I would say, obviously it also depends on like the university you go to.
True.
Like, there's no doubt that the US has like some of the best universities in the world. But then again, you have the UK, which has some of the best universities in the world.
For sure.
But just in the sense of what you are able to learn in terms of ease, like how easy it is to learn something that is in your course. I feel like the US would take the point in that. As I discussed previously, it was just a bit more restricting. For example, even I know someone doing GSD, they weren't even allowed to take a business module, which did not make sense to me.
Not at all.
But even though he like tried his level best, spoke to his personal tutors, year tutors, but they didn't even allow him to take a business module. I was fortunate enough at least to take a business module which was away from economics itself. So in that sense, I feel like the US does take the points there. But like holistically, no regrets. No regrets at all. I really enjoyed my experience in the UK.
So I wanted to ask you this question. Do you feel that you're different here at university than you are at home in Pakistan? And if so, why do you think that is?
I mean, I feel like at home there's just a certain level of comfort. And obviously when I keep coming, keep going, I personally am insanely homesick. I've grown up, I've grown out of it a little bit, but every time I used to go back home, leaving again would be extremely difficult. So it would take me like a few weeks to adjust, this, that, and obviously coming into the same environment again, then immediately going into work, all of that, obviously would take time to adjust. But I wouldn't really say that I'm super different. It's just that I do feel homesick. I miss my family. I'm pretty sure you do as well. You know, like a video call a day isn't really the same as having dinner with them on the table. So, and also back home, like they know me as the person who, like, you know, loves Pakistan, this, that, huge cricket fan, would sacrifice his life for Pakistan. But like, so these are things that, like, yeah, obviously I really miss. But
I mean, you speak about being homesick, but you staying in the UK after this, right? How do you think that's going to be for you? And do you feel like the homesickness, you've sort of learned to deal with it better than you were maybe in the first year, you know?
100%. Coming back first time, January 2020, really difficult 3 days. Really, very difficult 3 days. Leaving my family, because I had an insane December, the first winter vacation, but it went by so fast. And I feel like every single experience has just made me deal with things better. So in that sense, naturally I am afraid of, like, you know, living here for so long, going to Pakistan maybe like once a year, maybe twice a year if I'm lucky. But these are things that, you know, you have to get used to. You have to grow out of that fear. And I feel like with the support of everyone that I have here, and with how willing my parents were, you know, like to let me work abroad, I feel like that will help me, and it has motivated me, you know, in my job search and everything that I did. And now I feel like it will really benefit me also in the next coming few years while I'm working here away from them. And once again, having such a good support system around me that I made in uni, that will definitely help. Definitely.
Yeah, because I guess the strong friendships that we made, especially in third year, because we got 100%. To spend a lot of time, you know, with people. It was pretty much a normal year when it comes to, you know, COVID. It was the first full year in terms of all 3 terms. Obviously, you had exams as well, and everything is as close to normal life that as possible, you know. So, do you feel like that sort of made you more, you know, made you enjoy uni more, and made you really experience that uni life that we were told about before during school?
Third year really was everything and more than I could have asked for in every sense. I really got to experience uni. So one thing that actually used to throw me off university was the fact that I did not have a full experience. But having this experience in third year, you know, it's removed every single doubt I had. The experiences I had, the friends I made, the things I did, exams also I enjoyed. It was that good for me. It was that positive, that literally every single thing I enjoyed in this university, and it actually made me love Warwick and, you know, love the university experience, even despite spending, you could literally say, like half of it back home. I'm extremely grateful for the university experience that I had here. So yeah, alhamdulillah to that.
So now we can speak a little bit about our last year, you know, in this final year together, and how it's been living together. Obviously, it was a very good year for me personally. If I was to, you know, speak a little bit about that, I think that the fact that we were very similar, in a way, made it very good to live together. And, you know, watching sports was a big part of that. And I think out of us 4, like the close group that we spoke about earlier, us 2 have the most in common that way, and also like music tastes and things like that, which made it, you know, much better. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about that and how it was to live together.
100%. Like before we got into it, we had no idea that we would be so similar. Like it's actually shocking in a sense about how similar we are. But literally sports, music, height, if I may say, but those kind of things, like they do play a really big role in, like, you know, living with someone, finding the right, let's just call it a life partner, because that's how it felt for a year. Like me and Mustafa literally lived it up, and it was amazing in that sense. It's really important to live with someone you have a really good understanding with. Like this could be advice given out to anyone.
For sure.
Like naturally, sometimes you have to go into situations that you don't really know the person that you're living with. But it's up to you to make the most of it, find things in common, do things that even if you don't enjoy, find a compromise that you both can, you know, enjoy together. But we were fortunate enough that literally everything we enjoyed together, be it sitting on the table, eating oats in the morning and then watching some stupid YouTube video on the side. Like these are all memories that I'm going to take with me.
100%,
So yeah, overall, you know, insane experience. Like what more can I say?
And going forward, obviously, we will both be in a similar position where we'll be living, you know, separately and alone maybe, or maybe sharing with someone that we definitely don't know nearly as much as we know each other. how do you think that will be to adjust to? Because we haven't had that so far in any of our 3 years. So how do you feel like that will be?
The thing is, like, once again, don't mean to brag, but I feel like you and I are very like adaptable people in a certain sense that we are easy to get along with. Conversational, easy to like, you know, compromise.
Yeah.
And we're also not afraid to say what we want to say.
Yeah.
We're like, for example, whoever we move in with, they will know that also. So in that sense, I feel like, well, as I said before, like, you know, moving into another scenario, you have to make the best of what you have.
Always.
And we are literally in a very identical position that we are 1 hour or an hour and a half away from the closest people that we know.
Yeah.
So these kind of things are really important, that you compromise to meet common ground with, like, you know, the other person that you're living with or alone, and just make the best of the experiences that you're having.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to what life holds ahead for the both of us. Like,
yeah.
I don't know when we meet again. I mean,
yeah.
we meet in August, but then after that, I don't know when we meet again. But it's been great, like finding someone that you know, finding someone that's so similar to you.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever happen again in that sense. We got very lucky. So, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good way a good note to end on.
Good note to end before I get, like, you know, a tear in my eye.
But hopefully in a few years' time we can get you on this podcast again.
100%.
And have a catch up on all the memories that we made.
Would be exciting to see where we are at that point.
Yes. Well, thanks a lot, and see you soon. Ciao, ciao.